Second item, roll call.
Alderman Bass,
Here.
Alderman Cleaver,
Here.
Alderman Headley,
Here.
Alderman Knox,
Here.
Alderman Stratton,
Here.
Alderman Totten.
Here.
Appears we have a quorum. Next item of business, approval of agenda.
No changes, Mayor.
Next item of business, consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I move we accept the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, motion carries. Or, I'm sorry. Yep. I'm sorry, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, please signify by saying nay. Seeing none, motion carries 6-0. Next item, previous business, seeing none. Next item, new business, seeing none. Next item, presentations, again, none. Next order on the agenda is the public hearing regarding the establishment of the Green Valley Mercado CID. I will now officially open the public hearing for this matter. Before we take public comments in general, the board first will hear from the city staff and consultants, and then the applicants seeking approval of the CID. We will start with the city attorney, Joe Lauper, who will give a brief review of the proposed establishment of the Green Valley Mercado CID.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here in a second so we can have the PowerPoint up. Make sure I've got the right thing here. All right. Okay. Everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
See some nods there. Okay. Okay.
You have, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, so just for the record this evening, my name is Joe Lauber. I'm the city attorney. Our office address is 250 Northeast Tudor Road, Lee Summit, Missouri. This evening, I will be presenting the staff, the presentation regarding the application in front of you this evening on behalf of city staff. Just a quick procedural note, the proceedings for the approval, the consideration and possible approval of a CID petition are generally as follows. The public hearing is open, as the mayor just did. There's a presentation on the basic kind of community improvement district law by going through the contents of a petition, presentation of the petition, and then any questions that you have of city staff, you can certainly pose at that time. At that point, I'll toss it to the applicant's counsel, and then we'll hear any public comments on the matter. And then whatever questions the board may have for either the applicant or myself at that point, would ask those that information be put into the record. And then once that is completed, then the public hearing would be closed at that point. And then later in the agenda, you'll have the consideration of the ordinance for approval. So with that, I'm going to take us to the kind of the first slide. And what you see on the screen here indicates the outline of the boundaries of the proposed CID. For frame of reference, you have Buckner-Tarsney Road. Can you all see? I don't think you can see my, let me, if I do this, can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Okay, so here is Buckner-Tarsney Road running along the right side of this. This is the northwest corner of the TIF area. So it's TIF Project Area 3 that this is a component of. It's not the entire area. This would be the area that's kind of just north of where the Quick Trip was put in, and then extends back to the west from that area. So the petition that is before you this evening was actually filed back on December 9th of 2020. And just for a point of reference or a point of context, in November, the Board of Aldermen considered the terms of a potential contract in a closed session with the city attorney, and we discussed possible terms of an incentives program for the area that you saw proposed in that map. By general consensus, and assuming that we could negotiate the terms that the board was comfortable with, we took that forward to the developer. The developer did agree to those terms, and as a result, the mayor was authorized to sign that term sheet on December the 3rd of last year, 2020. The terms of the term sheet provided for the consideration of a community improvement district, a CID, which you have the petition for in front of you this evening, a TDD, or a transportation development district, and additionally a third component of a sales tax reimbursement incentive for development of the Mercado project. You all may recall that there is already tax increment financing in this area, and commonly CID or TDD is used, and in fact NID, neighborhood improvement district, are all three in place, I believe, on the northeast corner of this. The city remains the developer of Project 3 of the TIF, and that is, as you all will recall, the city invested money into the interchange in a cost share agreement with MoDOT, and as the developer of Project Area 3, the city is actually receiving the TIF revenues back for making the investment. So as other developers have come along in these other districts, the city, its policy has been for a number of years at this point is to not issue any additional TIF incentives whatsoever. The applicant here, was initially looking for some sort of TIF, and we were able to, explain to them what the situation is, and they were so. In the negotiation of that term sheet back in November that was ultimately signed in December, we came to an agreement to do community improvement district, transportation development district, and a sales tax reimbursement agreement. This is the first portion of this because the community improvement district and the transportation development district will ultimately need to be in place in order for them to actually sign the agreement that will be coming forward in the coming weeks that deals with putting all of these three components together for this process. Now, we won't necessarily need to wait till the very end. We don't have to wait until after the TDD is formed. In fact, once we get through this point this evening, we'll start in earnest working with the developer on this to get the three-part agreement put together with respect to that. So again, with all of that in mind and that kind of baseline set by the terms sheet, what you have this evening is the community improvement district application or application for creation of that district. As I mentioned earlier, the petition itself was filed on December the 9th, 2020. There's a statutory, it can be up to 90 days to review the petition. That amount of time was not necessary, but there are required mailed and published notices that went out, and those require at least 15 days notice ahead of time. And so we worked with the developer processing that through the holidays and got us to this evening's meeting. The developer in this case is Star Acquisitions. That is a developer that should be very familiar to all of you, as they are the folks who took over the Project Area 2 on the northeast side of the development area and have brought to Grain Valley the price chopper among many other businesses in that area since they took that over. The name of the proposed district, and these again are all petition requirements as you see at the top here, sorry. So the name is a requirement for that. That name is the Grain Valley Mercado Community Improvement District. Every CID petition that is filed, in order to be legally valid, has to be signed by more than 50% of the owners of property by both a per capita or a head count of property owners and also by assessed valuation. In fact, this property that you saw on the earlier map is owned by 3 different property owners, and all 3 of those property owners did sign the petition that is involved in tonight's hearing. So we had 3 of 3, 100% on that. District governance is something that needs to be addressed in a CID petition, and this district will be governed by a board of directors, which is required by statute. And there will be the statutory minimum of 5 members. We have asked through the term sheet that the developer include at least 1 city representative so that the city has input on that board of directors, and the developer has worked with us on that and has allowed that to be a component of the petition. The funding mechanism they are requesting for this CID is a sales tax. CIDs can do sales taxes, property taxes, or special assessment. Here we're looking at a sales tax, which is in the statutory amount of up to 1%. It is proposed that they will go the full 1%. Under the Hancock Amendment, any new taxes do have to be put to a vote. However, with CIDs, if there aren't any registered voters residing within the district, then property owners are the proper voters. And so they will ultimately, if this is put together, this is approved by the Board of Aldermen, then the sales tax will actually be put to the property owners of the district in a separate election down the road. Another item that must be included in a proper CID petition is the term of existence of the district. And this one is set up to be 30 years or until the eligible CID reimbursable costs plus any interest is paid. And based on projections, it should be right around that time frame if everything works as projected in estimates that we could do last fall. I say we, what we discussed with the applicant, what they submitted. For the CIDs are permitted to use blight powers, but they can only use blight powers if a blight finding has been made. CIDs by statute are allowed to piggyback from the blight finding in a TIF area or a 353 area. And obviously, because we have a TIF in place, there was a blight determination. The part of the blight that was found back when the TIF was originally done is the fact that this area has had very slow development, and so this portion of project area 3 has not been developed, and therefore the blight has not yet been remediated, and that's what we're working towards. And this should go towards resolve the fact that the blight for that portion of Project 3 has gone unremediated. So again, we're relying back on the blight finding from the original TIF at this point. All TIF petitions must include a 5-year plan, and that 5-year plan was included and does describe the purpose of the district. The next petition requirements, an applicant is required to put in the additional annual costs of the district. And as you can see here, the initial cost would be about $7,500 for the very first year, and then about $5,000 every year after that for the first 5 years for again, this is the cost of district administration. The estimated cost of CID services in the first 5 years is a requirement. Here, this CID is not intended to provide services, and those services by statute could be anything from security services. If you've ever been downtown Kansas City and seen their CID, they actually use it for that purpose, the folks that run around in the yellow and black jackets down there. Here, this CID is designed to pay essentially for, it would assist in any like transportation costs, public site grading, public stormwater improvements, construction of streets, drives, parking lots, those types of things are what are prescribed for this particular district. Speaking of which, those items that I just mentioned are called CID improvements. So you see here on the next line, a requirement of the estimated cost of CID improvements exists. And in the first 5 years, it is anticipated that the cost of the improvements from the CID would be about $436,385 with $25,000 soft cost and financing. There is also a requirement that you would show the estimated district revenue in the first 5 years. And so again, if successful, the CID is formed and they are able to get their sales tax passed, it would anticipate that a 1% sales tax in the district in the first 5 years would produce about $83,000, $83,386 in that first 5 years. Finally, the petition is required to include the estimated total development costs. Here, the entire Mercado project is anticipated to be about $15.7 million as an investment by the applicant, the developer Star, is what they're proposing. 14.5 thousand of that will be borne by private development costs. And it is anticipated through that term sheet that I talked about initially that about another 1.2 million would be provided in public project costs, essentially, what the CID, the TDD, and the sales tax reimbursement agreement would pay for in this circumstance. And again, I'm referencing kind of the bigger picture here as opposed to just the CID petition, as you saw here above. Sorry, I'm not getting the wrong thing here. As you saw here above, the CID portion is anticipated to be about, we could round up and say about 450,000. So, kind of narrowing down then on the initial estimated cost, we want to focus a little bit on what the CID improvements really entail. So again, you see at the bottom there, 411,000 with $25,000 in soft costs. What does that get? And essentially, that will be the CID will be assisting to help the developer pay for some extraordinary costs related to site grading and public storm sewer, paving for access drives on 2 of their lots, and then additional improvements for infrastructure on 2 of the tracks, Track A and Track C, are all of the items in the line items that would add up to what the CID improvements would be and what the developer is proposing in this circumstance. So that's, I guess I'll stop there for just a second because that's the end of the information that I'm going to present with respect to the petition itself this evening. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have from the staff standpoint. Keep in mind also the developer is going to speak on their application here in just a moment. They'll walk through the petition. They'll be able to put maybe a little more color commentary in what, kind of with what I have, done is more or less the play-by-play announcing here of what we anticipate with this application. So I'll pause for just a second in case there are any questions.
None here, Joe.
Okay, thanks. Because I'm sharing my screen, I can't see everybody, so I'm gonna, if I haven't heard anybody else chime in, so I'll move on. If we need to come back to that before we close the public hearing, obviously we'll do that. So just before I move on and turn this over to the applicant's counsel, Mr. Peterson, Kurt Peterson, I would indicate that if the Board of Aldermen approves the petition and adopts the ordinance this evening, I'm sorry, I guess we would do the first reading this evening. The following steps would occur based on using that as a baseline. So again, this evening would be the public hearing, the first reading of the ordinance. We would anticipate the second reading of the ordinance to occur on February 8th. And once the ordinance assuming the ordinance is approved, once it is approved, the CID is actually formed. Once the CID is formed, then the district can hold its first board of directors meeting, and it can adopt various resolutions, which include a resolution to impose the CID sales tax. Once that resolution has been adopted, the district's board will work with the city and we'll continue to negotiate that agreement that I mentioned before. So we're actually going to see a 3-part agreement that will come together in the coming weeks that would normally fill the gap of what we would call a CID cooperative agreement. Normally when we have this, we usually have a 3-party agreement where you have the developer, the city, and the CID working together with a contract to deal with that. we're going to do that. We're also going to combine that with a cooperative agreement for the TDD, and then a third element of that that comprehensive contract will deal with the sales tax reimbursement agreement. So again, those will be coming to you in the coming weeks. The district will hold a sales tax election. I think that is anticipated for early June of 2021, based on whenever they can get their notices in. And the statute's kind of funny about that because once a CID sales tax has been, essentially approved by the board of directors, they can hold the election, and they have to follow the rules that are set forth in Missouri statutes for notice period. And then once you've approved a tax, you have to report it to the Department of Revenue, and then it is not collected until the first day of the second calendar quarter after the quarter in which notice is given. So as complicated as it can get, but so what that amounts to is if everything stays on track, that the CID sales tax could come effective by October 1st, 2021. And I feel certain that Mr. Peterson will correct any piece of that if they have any other schedule ideas in mind. If they're going to go slower than that, they can't really go faster than that. But if they intend to, maybe do that a little bit later, he can address that. So, Mayor, with that, I'm going to figure out how to. All right. Okay, there we go. So hopefully everybody's back to normal. You can see the Brady Bunch gang here. I'm going to
Joe,
go.
would this be a time when I could ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Okay, with the 83,000 from the 1% sales tax, is that correct?
In the first 5 years.
Okay, so that's over 5 years, but not 83,000 per year that's estimated. Is that right?
That's the cumulative amount. And so if you recall from other developments that maybe the city has done, there usually is a ramp up period for all of the businesses to actually, for the developer to lease out their space, or if they're going to sell any of it, get things built, things like that. It kind of ramps up. So if I'm sure Mr. Peterson can answer a question later as to what they're anticipating. I just don't have the numbers in front of me, but when a project reaches what they call, I think it's called maturity, it kind of starts to grow. The growth year to year of the sales tax revenue starts to flatten out at some point, and then they kind of have the full stream of revenue that kind of runs for a period of time. And then, like I said, I think projections showed previously that would be looking to have everything paid off for the CID in about 30-ish years. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, next we will hear from Kurt Peterson, who represents the applicant, Star Acquisitions Incorporated, and is the primary property owner in this matter.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, this is Kurt Peterson with Star, here on behalf of Star Acquisitions. Also with me is Robert De La Fuente. And my address for the record for this public hearing is 900 West 48th Place in Kansas City, Missouri. And I just want to say it's nice, although I haven't interacted with all of you individually, it is truly nice to be back working with Joe and his team, and now Ken at the helm after spending a good deal of time on the project just to the east with the grocery store and all that, which I hope everybody feels has been sufficiently successful. I know Star has been very happy to be in the city. And so as we kind of transition to the west across the street, Joe was right that we approached the city because we started thinking about what could this dirt look like as we develop it out. And we came up with our best guesstimate that it looks like about an 85,000 square foot development, which would include a mix of uses. We hope everything from restaurant to retail to small professional office to even industrial. We think it's just a big enough site. It's about just under 12 acres that it can accommodate all of that. And as we looked at our pro forma, which happens from time to time, we did see that what we cost are some barrier costs, what we call some barrier costs, or sometimes extraordinary costs. Joe used that word. And one of the most surprising that you all by now have heard about for sure is the additional cost that MoDOT is requiring there at Buckner, Tarsney, and Jefferson, the way of signal modifications and additional turn lanes. But there were some other costs as well. So we approached Ken and Joe and just said, kind of put our numbers on a page. And to be honest, was everybody doing their job well, because if I can get a smile out of Ken, it was a little bit of a back and forth, right? As we were showing our numbers, and Ken and the legal team were doing a good job negotiating. But we came in thinking TIF might be the answer. But as Joe said, that was just a third rail for the city, which we came to understand that that's a place where you're going to get reimbursed for your prior costs that you've spent over the years. And we came to understand and respect that. So we all put our thinking caps on again. And what we came up with, which is what Joe described, and I won't rehash it all, but is this kind of cobbling together in a good way of ways that we don't get into the TIF. And in fact, something I wanted to emphasize that's probably clear to everybody, we're excited that we're able to meet our goal, which is getting what's a little less than 10% of the total project cost here through these various Missouri economic development tools. But at the same time, we're hopefully putting a bunch of these businesses in that'll generate sales tax, which, because of the way tax increment financing works, both the transportation development sales tax, the CID sales tax, and these two city levies, half of the sales tax that's going to be generated by all that sales tax levy will go straight to the TIF. So I know you all appreciate that, but we were actually it wasn't what we came in with, but what we came out with, I think, is actually, humbly, I'll say, really good for everybody, because it gets this development off its feet and also helps feed that tax increment financing that will help reimburse the city. So like Joe's in a good way said a lot. He really covered, I'm looking through my notes, much of what I was going to cover if he did not. And I know you have a packet that's full of information as well. So I think with that, we will go ahead and just stand for any questions, we being myself and also Robert from STAR, and really answer any questions you might have about this project. But thank you for the chance to be here. Thank you for laying out those terms that we were able to further negotiate with city staff. And we're looking forward to hopefully pulling off a really good project here.
Thank you, Kurt.
Alderman Cleaver. So you said something about under development, restaurants, and industrial. What were you thinking industrial?
So I say industrial loosely. That's probably not even the best term. That's the really high level term. Probably warehouse distribution, as you've seen so much of that lately, especially in Kansas City being such a centralized place with all of our rail and all that. So probably on that western, if you can picture the site being kind of an L, that western portion, Aldermen would be the place that would be best suited in our site plan to put some warehouse, again, industrial, if you want to call it, but warehouse distribution facilities. So kind of segregated off from the north-south part of the project, which would be where you'd see the retail, the restaurant, and a small office.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
That being said, I'll open up the floor now for public comments. Is there anyone here that would like to speak for or against the establishment of the Green Valley Mercado CID? If so, please come forward. State your name and address for the minutes. Tell us whether you are speaking for or against the matter, and provide us with your comments. I ask for you, please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Jamie, have you gotten any hand raises or?
We might describe to the public how they can participate if that's the case. Jamie, I think is it a hand raise, or is there a place where we make a comment?
I can click on the unmute all. It won't actually let me unmute everyone, but if you want to raise your hand at that point, you can click the button because it'll prompt you where it is supposed to. You're not actually unmuted unless you hit the button and saying you want to talk. And I'm not seeing anything.
Okay, there's no one else would like to speak on this matter. I'll close the public hearing. Next order of business is resolution. First is resolution R21-08, A resolution by the Board of Aldermen, in the City of Green Valley, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into agreement with the Midwest Pool Management for management of the Green Valley Aquatic Center for the years 21, 22, and 23 seasons.
Mayor, I move that we approve resolution R 2108.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Stratton?
Any discussion?
Mayor, members of the board, I was going to let Mr. Davies just give a brief overview of what's in the resolution.
Mayor and board, before you, you'll see the resolution for to enter into a contract with Midwest Pool Management for this year as well as 2022 and 2023. We've utilized them since 2009, and this past summer concluded a 3-year contract, so it's now time to renew. Now, every year we do go out for bid for this and solicit qualifications for pool management services. In your packet, you'll see a 2-page memo. I tried to highlight some of the services, some of the history that Midwest Pool Management has provided, in addition to the proposal that they submitted. But anyway, Midwest Pool Management has been a company, again, we've used since '09. We've been really happy with them and how they operate and their professionalism. This includes our lifeguarding staff and the managers of those lifeguards. And they lifeguard not only open swim, but some of our classes, programs, special events. However, there are certain things with the aquatic center that we staff and train for, and that includes we run the pool concession stand. We run all swim lesson programming, water aerobics, and we book the pool for private pool rentals as well too. And a few special events. We have a dog paddle day at the end of the pool season that we run as well too. So again, this is for your lifeguards, the hiring, the payroll, training, your swim uniforms, continuous training throughout the year. And this also includes all chemicals for pool chemistry, unwinterization of the facility in May, winterization of the facility at the end of the pool season, as well as several other things that I listed there in the memo. So if anybody has any questions, please let me know.
Any other additional questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 By saying nay. Seeing none, motion carries 6-0. Next order of business, ordinance B 21-01. Do I have a motion?
I gotta read this right. I move that we make the first reading by title only for bill number 2101.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Headley. Any discussion?
Mayor and members of the board, this is the ordinance that would establish the Green Valley Mercado Community Improvement District petition that we would have the public hearing for just a few minutes ago. If you had any specific questions on that, but Mr. Lauber could answer those for you.
And I'm happy to share my screen again if anybody needs to see boundaries or has any questions about that. But again, we went over in pretty strong detail a few minutes ago.
I had one question. We had talked about some changes to the lighting at the intersection or something that was going to be additional cost. Was that, I didn't see that included anywhere in the proposal.
Mayor, probably not in this proposal at this point. You may recall that, as I mentioned previously, there are 3 components to the overall incentives program. So you're just seeing the first leg of that stool. The transportation, there's a transportation development district portion of this which I'll be talking with you about very soon. And transportation development districts have extremely restricted spending powers, and they can only spend for transportation items. And so that is most likely not included in this, because the developer will need to utilize the non-captured TDD sales tax revenues to cover those types of costs. And so most of the road and interchange, I know there's like different turn lanes, and the signalization should be picked up when the TDD is formed. And in fact, I'm actually in the closed session this evening. I'm going to talk with you about that that piece of that, because that's actually a lawsuit. So we'll cover that at that portion. And then again, all of this will come together in that comprehensive development agreement that includes all three pieces of that when we bring that forward in the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Signify by saying nay. Seeing none, motion carries 6-0. Next item of business, city attorney's report.
No, gotta read it.
Oh, yeah, we didn't read it. I'm sorry. That's exactly right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That makes sense. All right, Mayor, this is the first reading of bill number B21-01, an ordinance approving a petition to establish the Grain Valley Mercado Community Improvement District. Thanks, Ken. I was asleep at the wheel. And with that, I have no report then. Gosh, ruin all my credibility.
Next item, city administrator and staff reports.
All right, well, not to be the person again, but I think then we have to have a motion now on that.
I move that we accept the first reading of bill number B 21-01 and bring it back for its second reading by title only at the next regular session.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Headley. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, please signify by saying nay. Motion carries 6-0. Now, should we go back to you again, Joe, or are you done with
I
us?
came up with a report now. I'm just kidding.
Okay, city administrator and staff reports.
We'll start with Ms. Logan.
I just wanted to share that the candidates for the upcoming municipal election on April 6th of this year were certified at the Jackson County Election Board on Friday. We have 2 candidates for Ward 1, Dale Arnold and Tom Cleaver. Ward 2, Darren Mills and Nancy Totten. And Ward 3, Kristen Rising and Shay Bass. And that's all.
All right, Mr. Davies.
Just real quick, it's that time of year again. We're looking at opening up registration for spring youth baseball and softball. As you recall, last spring we were unable to provide a season due to the pandemic, and we were able to get a season in the fall for both baseball and softball. So we are planning on running one this year. It may look real similar to the fall season with some of the protocols and restrictions that we had to put in place, but we are planning on having a spring season. So I just wanted to share that with you all.
Mr. Craig.
Good evening. I just wanted to let the board know that you will see a new face inside the utility billing department. We have hired a new part-time cashier who started last week and has been doing a good job so far within the department. I also wanted to let you know we processed all of the 1099s and the W-2s for 2020, and the W-2s for the mayor and board should be in your mailbox at City Hall. And that's all that I had.
Okay.
Chief Beal.
Mayor, Board, I just wanted to let you know that this morning we swore in 2 additional officers One come with about 17 years experience. The second one is freshly out of the academy. And then on February the 8th, we'll be filling the police clerk position. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Ms. Ozenbaugh.
Mayor and members of the board, I wanted to let you know that I believe as of last week, the app for the City of Green Valley has gone live on both the Android and iPhone application stores. So we intend to, you all are welcome to go in and download that. You would just look for City of Green Valley, and that's where you'll find the app. It's our intention to let that live for about a week or so while department heads and other staff and yourself check it out and make sure there's no bugs, and then we'll move forward with a greater push to the public on that app. It kind of goes hand in hand with the website, which we're doing just minor fine tuning on. We have pushed the website out to the public already. Some great things about the app. With a push of a button, people can call departments now. They can submit concerns or report things that they found throughout the city. The city is able to, for those who enable it, we can do push notifications. So if we have emergency situations or some things like a water main break, or even at events such as a holiday event, if we wanted to push a message out to all those in a certain area, we can do that through the app if they have it downloaded and notifications are enabled. So look for that, play around in a little bit, and feel free to let me know if you see anything that looks off or isn't working quite right, so we can get it ready to do a greater push to the public on.
The only other thing we had, so we are on for a workshop next Monday at 6 o'clock. So that finally all worked out. Thank you for your patience and your quick replies to all the different meeting requests. That's all the staff reports, Mayor.
So the meeting's next Monday.
Next item, mayor's report. I just want to commend the city crews for the jobs they did on the 2 snowfalls we've had. Fortunately, they were both less than projected, but I think the city has done the crew has done a great job on taking care of the problems.
And if you wanted to do the Aldermen comments, I think we skipped them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Next item, Board of Aldermen reports and comments. Alderman Bass.
I have nothing at this time. Thank you, Mayor.
Alderman Cleaver.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Alderman Headley.
Just want to make a comment about the CID and the conversation tonight about that. Appreciate, you guys working together and working with the developer to come to a, solution that works for everyone and continues to bring more business to town.
Alderman Knox.
I'd just like to say, Chief Bill, congratulations on your new offices.
Thank you.
Alderman Stratton.
No comments, but quick question. Ken, you mentioned Monday. Are we doing the workshop on Monday the 1st or Tuesday the 2nd?
Yeah, I guess I said that wrong, huh?
Okay, just making sure. Just making sure.
What time is it?
6 o'clock.
So is it the Monday or the Tuesday?
It's now you got me guessing. Hold on.
Tuesday the 2nd.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
That's what I had thought also.
Tuesday.
February 2nd, yes.
Okay, that's all I had.
Alderman Totten.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, now back to me. Like I say, I want to commend again the city on the jobs they've done on the snowfalls we've had. That being said, I believe we have a need for an executive session.
Yes, Mayor, we do under items 1, which is legal, 2, real estate, 3, personnel, and 13, also personnel.
Do I have a motion to go to executive session?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Alderman Knox. Roll call.
Alderman Bass.
Yes.
Alderman Cleaver.
Yes.
Alderman Headley.
Yes.
Alderman Knox,
Yes.
Alderman Stratton,
Yes.
and Alderman Totten.
Yes. Thank you.
And give me just 1 minute and I'll get everybody an invite here.
Motion carries. We'll move to executive session.